Hello and welcome to In the Realm of Whiskeys. My name is Jeff Yang. I'm the creator of In the Realm of Senses project, and thank you for coming to our episode of In the Realm of Whiskeys, where we're going to explore two Japanese whiskeys from one from Nikka and one from Suntory. These are the Nikka from the barrel and the Hibiki Harmony. Those of you who don't know anything about these Japanese distilleries, they become quite popular in the last 10 years and a little hard to find. But the first distillery was built in 1923 by Shinjiro Tori, who is the founder of the Suntory distillery. By that time, one of the first distilleries was named Yamazaki, and that was built by him and a fellow named Masataka Taketsuru, who helped him build the distillery because he actually learned distilling in Scotland and subsequently married a Scottish woman and brought her back to Japan and helped Tori build the very first distillery in Japan. And Taketsuru then left very soon after to create his very own distillery that became Nikka. So Japanese whiskeys is a little different in the sense that the Japanese don't have any rules. So be careful what you buy because some of the things you get are actually imported from America. Bourbons, corn whiskeys, rye whiskeys from Canada, some scotch from Scotland. So they can either blend it there in Japan and sell it to you as Japanese whiskey, or sometimes they'll put it in their own barrels and age it a little bit, and that'll be a Japanese whiskey. But there's no rules, so you have to be careful what you buy. I would suggest these distilleries that have been around for quite a while, and they actually make most of their spirits or sometimes all of their spirits on site in Japan. So the Suntory one is one we're going to taste first, the Hibiki Harmony on the end here. This one is made from three different distilleries. They have three different distilleries: Yamazaki, Hakushu, and Chita. So these are made from 10 different malts and grains, aged in 5 different kinds of oak casks. So it's very interesting because these are not single malt whiskeys, not like scotches. These are blends. So there's probably some corn and some rye as well as barley in these. And the type of wood that they use as one of the 5 woods is the Mizunara cask. The Mizunara wood is a Japanese oak that's very curly and a very somewhat brittle, I would say. It has to be about 200 years old before they can harvest it and make it into these barrels, and they use it for furniture, and it's very, very expensive. And they tend to leak when you put them into barrels, so sometimes the distillates you get out of there is not as much as you would like, so they're very expensive. So they use a little bit of the whiskeys that are aged in Mizunara oak in this particular blend, and that's what gives it its particular flavor profile and makes it more complex. So let's shall we have a taste? You can look at the bottle itself. It's a beautiful decanter, just gorgeous. It's a dark amber, slightly red tinge to it, and never fails to amaze me. Every single Hibiki I've ever had, including some of the master select ones I get in Asia, the cork is always wet. It's never dry. Somehow that is one thing I always know about Hibiki whiskeys. It's that little strange fact. So shall we, let's nose this. Sweet caramel, sultanas, heathered, maybe a little bit of poached pear, dark honey, creme brulee, just kind of a dark caramel with floral notes. Just beautiful, very pleasant. Let's have a taste. A beautiful, less sweet honey, little lighter honey. The caramel has kind of faded away a little bit. The sultana notes come out, a little bit of spiciness, and I noticed a slight bit of bitterness on the back side of your tongue as it goes down, but just a hint of it. That's probably maybe due to the Mizunara or maybe a little rye grain in there. but it's just delightful and just so well balanced. The distillers there and the blenders just able to blend so many different kinds of whiskeys and barrels together to create something that's harmonious. That's why it's called Hibiki Harmony. I would say this is the one that a lot of Japanese whiskeys will be compared to, in the sense of its balance and its character. Reasonably smooth, but have some complexity to it. Yeah, you get a little gingery spice on the end, and just that hint of bitterness is really complex but smooth, and a short medium finish, not too long. It just kind of just fades away, and it's slightly warm. A beautiful whiskey. Maybe a little expensive for what it is now, but you should definitely try. If you have not tried a Japanese whiskey, this is the first one that you should try, because it'll give you an idea of what a fine blended Japanese whiskey should be. So let's move on to Nikka. Cool bottle, kind of medicinal. This is a small one. This is a 50 centiliter bottle I got in France when I was traveling overseas. Here you can get it in the US, and get it 750, which is a little larger. This is from the barrel, which is a little misleading because it's not actually barrel proof. 51.4% is actually 90 proof in British standards. So in America, the proof is double the alcohol content. In Britain, it's 1.75, around there. So it's actually a 90 proof whiskey in British standards. I don't know why they do that, but it's watered down slightly, but it's still over 100 proof US standards. Nikka is Takatsuru's distillery. They have a Yoichi and Miyagikyo distilleries in Japan. But the interesting thing is they also own a Scotch distillery, just one, Ben Nevis distillery in the Highlands, which is not readily available here in America. Got my hands on a few of them here. Actually, one of my friends went to the Ben Nevis distillery in Scotland several years back, and I have a 16-year-old Scotch barrel proof one from there. And it was pretty cool. And I found a 10-year-old one. But they're mainly used for blends, and Nikka owns them now, so one would suspect they use that for their Takatsuru single malts and their aged single malts, which are so expensive now and hard to get. Their 17 and 21-year-old, but I would suspect the backbone of those single malts are the Ben Nevis distillery. So, but that I'm sure is in here, and I will tell you a little bit more about it once I taste it. So similar color as Hibiki Harmony. You can see I've been drinking this a bit. I have to get a replacement very soon. So let's swirl it. This is very high proof whiskey. You notice the corn, but it's much less strong, less sweet on the nose. But being over 100 proof whiskey, you would expect that. A very deep, dark honey. A honeycomb kind of nose, floral heather notes, sultanas. Not all that different from the nose of the Hibiki, but just not quite as sweet and not much as caramel. It's a little more lighter in that way. Shall we have a taste? Ooh. Definitely has that initial bite, but it kind of smooths down. There's a gingery spice, a little note of allspice, of a little anise, just a hint of that in the back of your tongue on the side, and it kind of moves to the front. It's like a lingering finish, much medium longer. Yeah, definitely ginger and honey. Not quite as sweet, but delightful. Oh, it reminds me of a single malt. Actually, when I first tasted this many years ago, I did not know it was not a single malt. I just assumed it was a single malt, and I was quite shocked that it was a blend of whiskeys from other grains. But Taketsuru is the master distiller, and but with the use of some Scotch whiskeys in this, create a really amazing whiskey. Let's finish this up, and I will give you my ratings. Delightful. All right, so shall we rate these whiskeys? As I will rate these on a scale from 1 to 10, 5 being actually very average. So I will be rating it from 1, literally from 1 to 10 at some point. We're not going to do those ratings where everything's in the 7, 8, or 70, 80s. And I want to get a really fair picture of each whiskey as we go along. So with the Hibiki Harmony, the taste is beautiful. I give it a 7 because it's smooth, but there's a hint of complexity. It's just very pleasant and easy to drink, and also it's just sweet, not too sweet. It's just perfectly balanced. I think it's a perfectly good whiskey, grain whiskey from Japan, and it's iconic. And I think everyone should try this once. But for the value, in Chicago, it's being sold about $90. When it first came out, it was around 70, went up to 75, which is I think it's a little on the high side to begin with, but at $90 for blended whiskey with no age statement, I'm not a big fan of that. So I give it a value of 3, even though the taste score is 7. So on the Nikka, on the other hand, you can still get that here as a retail value, retail price of $70. Being a higher proof from the barrel, I assume it's from a smaller batch of barrels, like a small batch. So I really like this. I give it an 8.5 because the taste. It's quite something to behold at 100, 102 proof. It's high alcohol content, but it doesn't taste that. But the spiciness is very pleasant, and there's complexity. And what made you think that is actually a single malt Scotch in many ways. Have you tasted good Scotch, a 12-year-old Scotch, Highland, something like that? And you definitely very comparable, probably because it has Ben Nevis in there. But at $70 at that proof, I'd give it a 7.5. So that's my ratings for the Hibiki Harmony and the Nikka from the barrel. Thank you for joining us, and please do come back and join us for our live whiskey tasties here in Chicago. Our next event is March 18th and 25th. In Jordan's Food of Distinction, we're going to be exploring Irish whiskeys to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So you can get tickets at www.intherealmofsenses.com. Well, it's that time again of the show to invite our special guest. To conclude our Japanese whiskey tasting, we have from southern France, a seer of the future, the great Cognac the Magnificent.
Cognac.
Welcome back, Cognac.
C'est un plaisir.
Oui.
Merci.
Yeah. Anyways, those of you who don't know Cognac, he's a seer of the future, and he's a mystic. And he's going to divine the answers to the questions that are in these envelopes that have been hermetically sealed in Japan since the 1940s. No one has seen the questions, but
I still can feel them.
They're actually sealed before you were born.
It doesn't matter. I feel them.
Okay.
I even smell them.
Anyways, though, the great Cognac will discern the answers to these questions and these envelopes. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. Here is our very first envelope. Tell us what you see. Yamazaki.
What does a Japanese fighter drinks in combat?
Oh, you have seen the past. All right, number 2, oh great seer of the past and the future.
Darling Nikka.
Darling Nikka, okay.
Name of Prince's favorite cocktail in a hotel lobby.
All right. I didn't know you were a Prince fan there, Monsieur Cognac.
A lot of things you don't know about me.
Apparently so. So worldly. Hotel lobby in a magazine. Anyways, our third and final envelope. Low grade seared. I believe in you, Cognac.
Hakushu.
Hakushu.
God bless you.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you for joining us again for our Japanese whiskey tasting. We will be back next time.
We will.
Thank you. Merci, Cognac.
C'est un plaisir.